losing that 2v2, which is why I'm looking at XKS and Dawson saying, well, you could just do what you've done in the first 2 games, it's working for you, but honestly, just leverage the strength while it's there. I mean, at least at this point, they get themselves this 2-3 on blue side to lock that in. You're going to have to stomach a ban towards one of the bot lane roles, should you want to on Dusty. It should also be the Ahri actually coming out as well from Micah. Has been very confident to pick that one out. Had a more difficult game 1, game 2, early phase of the game. A little bit rough in that laning phase, but snowballed very effectively into that late game. But yeah, I'm looking towards this bot side from Execute and Dasters. You know, they are meant to be this.
Elios, yeah.
You know, they have been touted as the best bot lane in the ERLs, in the best bot lane in this tournament. And given the way that they are playing, I think that they can show a little more muscle here.
Yeah, it looks like Den Boxing are going back towards the Sivir. I do like what Dino said on the desk. It's not really been his fault. There's only so much you can do as a Sivir when your top lane is literally on fire. So there's, I don't think it's a bad one, because we did see how when he was given the space and given the time to get up those 3 items, that the Sivir is exceptionally powerful, even into a late game of Felios. So now we're going to start to see some more of those bans. Again, we're getting Kerberos banned away by the the Darius, and then the Bel'Veth as well by Dusty. So just kind of focusing towards that jungle, giving their jungler a bit more. Now, gotta say that, you know, the Dusty have been able to kind of show a shining light here. It has been their jungler.
Yeah, I think that Linsus had that awesome game 1 on the Wukong. Of course, that was now the 3rd ban for LDLC, realizing, hang on, probably can't let that one go through. Dusty on the other side, though, saying, yike, 2nd game playing on that Viego, his most played of summer, one of his most played of all time as well. But banning away the Bel'Veth and the Viego for the melee synergy with the Sidroni towards top side as well, where, of course, LDLC found such value was a big thing for that team. Dusty just making sure that you're going to have less of the damaging options to combo up with that Sidroni.
Ooh,
oh, there we go.
I love this here. You're locking in the Jackson. This is actually something we were talking about as well.
Yeah,
like,
we called it out.
We just called it out and said, look, yes, giving yourself something on the top side, but give yourself something actually a little bit more meta and a little bit more tools to get in and out of fights.
Yeah, and it allows you to be, again, a bit more self-sufficient, because you can ward hop back to a minion wave, ward hop back to well, a ward, right? With your
Counter-Strike.
With the Counter-Strike. Yep, type it up, type out the whole description.
Yeah. Q ability.
Right. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. What did we call that first? Oh, Kerberos, maybe also a bit more self-sufficient. The second thing we called out, actually, hasn't LDLC's bot lane been really good? That is now a kill lane. It is strong. It is 2v2. The Renata Glass locked in for DOS allows Exakick and DOS to play more of that kill lane. All right, so we're starting to see LDLC focus towards that bot side. The combos aren't there towards that top side in terms of Sejuani with a melee synergy kill kind of factor. Jarvan does damage, but it's not the same kind of carry potential. And now Jarvan, yike, will be on that engaging combo as well. You get to combo up with the Renata, with the Cataclysm, and the hostile takeover as well. If you are locked into that, it's very, very dangerous, especially as the Sivir. Sivir going to have a very difficult time this game, unless you're locking in something like something like that. something like a Luxon, actually. Sten was a Thresh main, loves the champion. It's a champion which has suffered quite a lot over the last season or two. Used to be so great in spring, was kind of the best support in most ways, kind of ended up becoming the worst support in a lot of them too at this point.
But the ground.
But in this point, you do have now the Lantern to get someone out of the Cataclysm. Backlund mobile, Kerberos mobile, that Linsus and Denvox now able to play with a little bit more impunity. Hopefully Sten can bail them out.
And that's a big thing as well. Like, yes, you did pick the Sivir. I love the Jarvan into the Sivir because it doesn't have that dash. It doesn't have that safety. But with the Thresh, it covers up a lot of that. But it does come down to you looking at the side of Dusty. Not a huge amount of engage. You want to run into the likes of LDLC. You want to be the guys who are constantly on top of their faces. That hostile takeover completely changes the scope of that fight. So you got to be picking and choosing your battles very, very carefully. And if LDLC get themselves an inch, as we saw in game number 2, they will take a mile.
It's going to go quite poorly after that point.
Yes.
So, less ability to play through top side from LDLC this time, because you don't have yourself that Viego to play so strongly around those early levels, but you do have the Jarvan still to play through mid-jungle 2v2, but towards that top side 2v2, it's not quite the same as having something like your Viego. So, Dusty looking to recover from that disastrous game 2. LDLC, what a game that was. Back onto the riff for game 3.
Sten now on his Thresh, got the Glacial Augment, so he's going to be able to kind of keep himself on top of people, be it with a hook or a fillet.
By hook or by crook, some would say.
By hook or by fillet? Because he's not called Crook, is it? It's called Plague.
Maybe they should change that. Maybe that's the next thing they can do.
You know what? I'll let you have that conversation with the naming team, because the naming team in Riot called Viego's Q the Blade of the Ruined King, alongside the item the Blade of the Ruined King.
Oh no, it's like the Ruined King uses the Blade of the Ruined King to proc his Blade of the Ruined King.
I hate it so much. I hate
it makes it
so,
slightly
so
more
much.
fun if you call it Bork. Just like
Bork.
There you go.
Fair enough. I'm now the Swedish chef.
Back to Dog Champions we are. And
no, that was game 2.
Yeah. Well, we got Fox Champions back on this one. I get back onto the Ahri, and again, Ica has been one of our very best. I would actually say the best Ahri in the ERLs, taking up the Electrocute and the Ignite again into the LeBlanc matchup. Saw how strong that went when you got a couple of kills after that point.
Slight adaptation, though, from Backland. Hasn't gone with the teleport, has gone with the Ignite himself. So recognizing, look, there were plenty of opportunities for me in that game where I may have been able to actually get a kill here if I just had that little bit of extra damage.
And immediately one thing that's changed as well, because we talk about that, which means that maybe mid-jungle 2v2 are going to be a little even more spicy because you've got more damage and less ability to reset. But look at what has happened with ward down here, actually, from LDLC and a ward up here. You have warded both jungle entrances. Linsis not able to affect the mid lane at this point. Ica very well secured. You will know immediately as LDLC when Linsis is going to walk into the river. We know that Yike loves to have information on enemy jungler. Hasn't spotted Linsis yet, but will do so if they go towards those jungle entrances closest to mid.
Again, Stand posturing forward, he's on the hook champion. I will say, the Renata, very powerful, but does need access to her full kit. You do need, of course, the handshake, the bailout. They can maybe go for a whispered past his butt cheeks right there. You could feel the wind as that hook just sailed on by.
Yeah, and the thing about Renata is that you actually have a lot of damage just in your E very early on. Getting a slow as well for an extra auto attack from your AD carry, very, very powerful. Backland not taking a tower shot, gets the proc of the Sigil of Malice. Once again, Backland in the individual 1v1, actually doing very well versus Ica. Not something that we could say happened yesterday with Tempt versus Chekalad. Chekalad really ran over that mid lane matchup on an individual level. Solo kills, running over that game. And now with the Dusty mid laner showing up, honestly, Dusty putting up a good showing even with that second loss. The first game was largely off the back of Dusty playing well in lane as well, not just falling apart like X7 did in the day before to that 0-3.
Yikes, already up towards this top side, and this is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on here, because when you pick the Jarvan, all of your power is in this early game. You need to be hitting lanes, you need to be hitting them constantly and fast. That's why we're going to see now with his Flag and Drag such a powerful CC combination, because not only does it knock someone up, but it gets you right on top of them.
Yeah, I mean, of course he's going to have value in later game team fights, particularly locking up someone away from the Thresh if the Lantern is already down and comboing up with the Renata, but you need to be using that top side power. He's recalling though, Ragnar, no flash, you're a Sejuani after all.
Yeah, you're a Sejuani and you had no slow armor either, so that Arctic Assault's going to be needed very soon, but I don't think it's going to be able to do much more flash in, not even going to be needed. First blood to Kerberos, and this is a much better top side now for Dusty.
And if game 2 was top side lose condition, Nasus wasn't supported, gets shut out of the game, a kill onto the Jax, a carry which will do a lot of work, particularly into the side lanes later into the game. This is very important for Dusty. Dusty, get onto the board first in game 3.
It's much, much better play coming into the first few minutes of the game here for Dusty, as we do see now LDLC. Let's see what they can go for, because again, this Jarvan, very powerful. Yike going straight back, trying to pick up that pickaxe and kind of say, look, I need to be powerful. I need to be beating up very big item spikes, because if he doesn't, it's not really going to be a good look for him or his team.
Yeah, and there are a couple of things which really came out important there, because remember, just a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about LDLC, they love tracking the enemy jungler. They had those wards in River. Well, they didn't manage to spot what happened with Linsis going towards topside, and Linsis is another player with a real point to prove. We mentioned an interview which Sten did with Archeron earlier on the day in terms of their own aspirations. He also talked about his teammates too, and one of them was Linsis, and he says that actually Linsis does have the real potential. This guy's young. I believe he's only something like 16, 17 years old, very young player, and is one of these players that really does have aspirations to go further on, further up towards it, potentially in the LEC later on. Sten, landing the hook.
And Dots will take a fair chunk of damage. The handshake is good into the Gravidum, as you can see in there. Tower shots as well, and Stand, yeah. He recognizes he's dead, there's nowhere for him to go. Flash for flash, then Voxna shall die! And Kick in the 2v2. You talked about it being a kill lane. They just got 2 of them.
Outperforming in 3 out of the 3 games. And Kick once again on the Aphelios, the signature champion for the bot laner, the all-star player of LDLC, coming out tops for them in the kill lane. And suddenly you've lost summoners, you've lost kills, you've lost gold. Dusty, while the rest of the map was actually going fairly well for them, particularly towards this top side, that is bad news for them.
Yeah, there's a bit of bad news, Bears. Kerberos does hit level 6, so he's going to have the Grandmaster's Challenge to keep himself up, but Ragnar just going to back away, and I think that's going to tell a little bit of a story here for Kerberos, because he knows his jungler's on the bot side, but he doesn't know where the enemy jungler is. So let's have a look at here, because again, it's just Stand. I think, again, he just thinks he can go for it, but just no need to kind of overextend this, because the handshake is fantastic, and just the fact that he brings him right up on top of it doesn't even take a tower shot, to be perfectly honest, just pure damage.
Yeah, it is, and you know, just puts on the bailout onto Kick, comes through the extra movement speed, the slow from Gravitum on auto as well, often goes missed with that champion's kit, but that comes in very important at that point. Quick correction, actually. This is 18 years old. I was wondering exactly what the number was at this point, but he's 18 years old.
He's very young.
He's very young,
yes.
Especially compared to some of the folks that we have in the competition. He's a bit more fresh blood in at this point. Ragnar, that's level 6, looking to go to backland.
Yeah, and backland is going to be back towards his tower. Doesn't quite go down just yet, and oh, it's all a bait! He's trying to get exit! Ica will fall, though, so it's a 1-for-1 and a 2-for-1 situation. So Dusty getting themselves back into that one mid lane.
But remember, no teleports in the mid lane, so backland will miss out on a full cannon wave. Linsus will be there to pick it up, and at least he gets some of that XP down there, but still trading 1-for-1 in those mid lane kills.
Oh, that was very satisfying. Sorry to interrupt you, that was just really satisfying to look at.
Remember that old clip which came from like Season 5 Worlds or something of Lulu clearing away with a glitter? It's similar kind of thing. But this is something that we occasionally see when top lane does get controlled. We don't see it as much in the ERLs anymore, but will occasionally just see an Ornn coming back towards mid lane and looking to get that engage. But this time it is the Sejuani, helps out with the Ahri going in there as well, takes down the LeBlanc, and now backland loses a bit of that XP.
There's a bit of it. We did see a massive wave, as you did see there. Kerberos pushing that one in for his team. We're going to see the double distortion, but Ica not quite in a position to fully capitalize on it. Even with the flashes down here for the mid laners, very difficult to really sink your teeth into them. The Ahri getting the movement speed back, and oh dear, Stend, you need to leave. He does have flash. He might have to use it right now. There is a flash handshake available for DOS. Should he go for it? They're trying to just slow him down. Oh, it was all a little bit close there for the moment, as we can see now. Bot side, Kick just using the fact that he knows he's just so much more powerful than the side of the Sivir.
No flash, no ult.
Ica, no flash, no ult, and nowhere to go. They're even going to get the lantern out just to make sure that this Thresh gets some extra gold there with the assist, and Dusty bring themselves back up into the game.
Okay, so again, another kill onto this Ahri. First of kind of their own choosing as they went in the turret, and then the second one just caught out of position, thinks that maybe they have a way out, but no one over the wall from LDLC can respond. So we are back into a bit more of a scrappy game. Game 2 at this point, Dusty had already found themselves in a very difficult spot because Nasus was so far behind. Bot side going much better for LDLC in this game, though.
Yeah, we're going to see the on the hunt used there. Kick trying to move forward. The handshake does knock Stend back a bit more. Now DOS has to deal with the oncoming Trundle. The Flay is available, but will he be landing the hook? He won't. The flash in with the ultimate is great. Kick though, no flash, nowhere to go, and he is shut down, and perfectly for Dusty. It goes over to Dead Box.
What's backland doing here? Has he got the kill?
I don't think he does. He's going for it though. We're going to go up towards this top side as Kerberos gets taken down. Backland does get the kill into this bot side. It's just going to be action across the map.
We're down for a good scrap again at game 3. Dusty bouncing back. This team is one with, of course, that mental fortitude to pull out that reverse sweep in the NLC finals, but they're up against the LFL first seed, LDLC. Strike on top side. Kerberos goes down. No teleport to reset that wave, and even though there are a couple of kills going over to Dusty, LDLC not finding themselves without answers.
LDLC did get a kill on top side. They will turn it into a Rift Herald. Let's have a look at the full replay here, because again, they just know the Trundle's coming. They know they have numbers advantage, so they fully commit.
And I mean, Sten knows the distances, flashes in with that lantern. The Thresh Express straight into the station. The pillar afterwards. Kick does use the Severum ultimate to try and get some kind of healing back, but the healing cut is already down. Not nearly enough to come back in. And this is where the Ignite comes in handy. Yep, just pops him down. Actually, forget about that. Just a bailout on top of that. Dusty, after securing those kills on bot side, reset, get themselves the first dragon of the game. It is an Ocean, less valuable individual stats than the Mountains of the first 2 games, but it's still something on the board to get neutrals going their way.
Again, much closer game than we saw in game 2. This is a bit more reminiscent of game number 1 here for Dusty, and little things, little adaptations, the mini metas, if you will, of a series. Taking Ignite for the LeBlanc instead of a Teleport, taking the Jax instead of a Nasus, my personal favorite. You know, little things like that that kind of change how the game develops, how the bans are put out there. There's not enough emphasis on the Sejuani this time around, but this time, you know, it might end up being biting them back.
And the great thing is, you know, this is the best of 5 where those adaptations are actually making an impact in a series which maybe we thought was going to be very one-sided. In fact, actually, we were pretty confident it was going to be one-sided.
I was pretty confident.
First game was, of course, traditionally dropped by LDLC, but we were excited. I was excited, nonetheless. Already made that reference back to it. But in game 2 and game 3 now, we're seeing this pendulum switch back and forth, and particularly for the NLC versus the LFL. That's something that we've struggled to see this year. Ragnar has the ult, has Ignite. Curb, gotta be careful here.
Yeah, he could get 100-0'd very quickly, and it's a Ionian Boots here for Ragnar means that he's going to be very, very quick to get those cooldowns back. You can see LDLC recognizing that they had lost vision control on the bot side, so they just cleared that one out there with Yike. But Ragnar may be thinking about going for a dive, thinks the better of it because there's no sign of the Trundle. If Linces was in the top side of the map, he would have been very vulnerable.
It's a fun story about that. We were calling him Linces the entire year, and then he reached out to us and said, "Hi, I'm one of your masters. Can we pronounce it Linces?" And it was just like,
that's really nice.
Reached out to Jamada about that, and I was like, "Okay, all right," because you asked so nicely. But anyway,
any other player, no, get lost. Only if you are nice like Linces.
Yeah, but Linces is towards his top side on Krugs. Icarus made his way up here. That's just a dead Jax.
You're just dead here, Jax. Nothing you can do. You did have Linces at the top side, but Kerberos just not really positioned to go for it. Again, we're seeing this, again, the adaptation in the game. It's no longer about the 1v1 in mid. It's about how those mid laners can adapt, move out, get themselves to become bigger forces in bigger matchups.
Herald's up here too. You don't have that many ultimates to play around, but you've already got what you came for. Got that Demolish proc. It's going to be, I guess, 3-4 plates right in one go. I'm actually not sure if it was above one just before that point. But LDLC walking away with a significant amount of gold at that point, which does mean that the Jax no longer has an advantage. Ari, of course, picking up the kill from that one too. Very happy about their gains from the top side.
Well, Dots gets hit. He's going to be flayed back, but he doesn't quite get hit into the box. We are going to have them getting the full investment there of the summoners here. Denvoxna does have a flash, but the Gravitum is just too damn good. Doss stays alive, but not for much longer. Backlund comes in, Backlund flashes, and he's gone in the blink of an eye.
And once again, Dusty brings someone else to play in the bot side. Top side has been LDLC's in the last few minutes, but Dusty continuing to find something towards the bot side. We challenged LDLC's bot lane to say, okay, you have been winning bot lane. Maybe you can pick something that can play through it. They've done that, but Dusty have responded well in-game to make sure that they don't have a free run at the 2v2. There's always something else answering them.
And Yike, I got to admit, has been a little bit slower to kind of get to these plays. But let's have a look at this one here, because again, it's just Doss honestly just kind of not recognizing where the thresh was, so he gets hooked from the fog of war.
And actually, this should have been less close than it was, because the box wall didn't actually break on that flay. It was very close to doing so, got flayed into the wall, I believe, instead of the actual box, but and that Doss could survive a little longer. Means that he gets a flash for his trouble as well, but still, Dusty still walk away with that kill, still walk away with a successful 3v2 on that bot side, and now suddenly Backlund has a lot of gold on his LeBlanc. It is another comfort pick between these two teams, which has seen them a lot of success. Didn't see it in that game too, of course. Backlund very struggling to impact the game, but now on his LeBlanc, the all-star mid laner from the NLC set up for success.
The big thing also from that fight, as you can see now, Doss doesn't have a stopwatch. Doss is on a support that is incredibly squishy, very powerful, but if you're jumped on, you don't have a flash, you don't have a stopwatch, you're just in a bad spot. It's just bad time bears, so you gotta be able to make sure that you're not getting caught out, because you will just get deleted.
Yeah. The thing about a Renata is that you're tanky at like level 2 or 3 at that point, right? Because like you have Guardian, you've got your shield from the
Kerberos.
Oh, he's just dead.
Yeah,
Kerberos is also not tanky at this point, as much as we're talking about the Renata. Goes down for their third death of the game, and Dusty have really struggled to shield Kerberos in these last two games. On the Sejuani, just did their job, honestly. In this one, finding it very hard to do so.
I mean, look, there's only so much that Linces can do and kind of move up towards our top side. And we did see a gank there very early on to kind of keep Kerberos going into it. And look, in fairness to Kerberos, he's only down 600 gold. He's up about 10 CS, so he's keeping in tow. It's not that terrible. And even in that last fight, Ragnar uses Ignite. They actually got the flash from Yike as well, just before this dragon. So this is still going to be 2 dragons to the stack of Dusty. So if Kerberos can just keep drawing those resources to him and the rest of Dusty can do stuff with that move, that's a positive.
It is a positive. There's a lot of spin to this, though. You can see that Ragnar Dust actually heading down towards this. Is it going to be a contest, or are they looking more towards mid lane? Dragon's going to go down first. It's a Mountain Soul. Now, that is a heck of a powerful soul to bring out to play. That and Hextech really are the ones which give you a huge amount of extra win conditions with their souls being activated. But the thing about this many resources being put towards topside is that, yes, it does mean that the dragons have gone towards Dusty. But what it means is that if the LDLC then actually choose to fight the next dragon after that point, actually is Kerberos at a point of power where he can just play around his...
Ooh!
Chain miss. That would have been a kill otherwise.
I mean, yeah,
right.
But now you kind of have to think about where the mid lane's going right now, because yes, you have the Rift Tower on the top side, but you don't have a top lane tower to crash that into as easily.
Yeah, and this, if the Jax isn't a side lane win condition, potentially the LeBlanc can be an extra X factor after this point. Speaking of those win conditions, teleports coming in.
Yeah, they're going to have 2 TPs coming in, but immediately they back away. They said, look, Ragnar's now been here. We've gotten our TP advantage. We can back ourselves away. And I like this from Dusty. They recognize, look, I just chunked out Ike. He doesn't have ultimate. They knew that Yike was on the top side of the map because of the fact that they just used it. Flash in, play in, as Doss might be going down. They will have to force a flash out of him. He used the bailout on himself, but that means you don't have it now for the rest of your team. Hook, line, and sinker. Kerberos has ended the game as they can finally jump onto Ragnar, who's tanky but got no damage. Ricochet onto Doss, and that's 2 kills for the Sivir. Flick of a switch, Dusty just exploded to the bot side.
Look at LDLC and say, blink first, I dare you. They go forward to that play, they draw out the teleports, and they commit after the play seems to have fizzled out. Dusty go towards bot lane once and then a second time. LDLC caught off guard.
I mean, 100% really well played here, because look, Dusty, it looks like they're just all backed away, then Sten just stays out of fog of war.
And this is the second part of this play. You think that, okay, they're just coming back towards the 2v2, but they stick in there. They have the flash on the Jax. It's not an ignite from lane. It is got that extra bit of mobility. Sivir certainly helping with that too. As soon as that first kill is down, you go, hang on, they don't have any damage. Sejuani's not going to kill multiple people. You've got the Trundle already running, very tanky, and they run down absolutely everyone else. Remember with Sivir nowadays, you actually get resets on your ult when you get kills involved with that too. You get much more mobility than some people can necessarily remind yourself of.
Oh, there's another one. Extra kick is going to be falling down. You would imagine they're going to lose the Sejuani ultimate as well. He's going to lose his flash as they try and get Kerberos to join in here. He flashed, or doesn't flash, and he jumps in to try and make this one work. But this is just a different side of Dusty. They're not done yet because they're saying, look, Ragnar, you're not a super tank right now. You're not the Scion from game 2. Where has this Dusty been all you masters?
And it is Sten on another hook champion, his favorite hook champion, one that he's had so little chance to show in summer since Thresh fell out of the meta. But in this game, in this quarterfinals, Sten is really fueling Dusty's playmaking. It happens bottom side. Oh my god, Backland's here too.
And he's able to get himself out as well. This has exploded into a 3,500 gold lead. Not only that, you've taken all the turrets in the bottom half of the map. That is so easy now for the Jax to push in with pure safety.
And one game against LDLC, you think, okay, all right, bit of a fluke, maybe a bit of an upset. But in a second game, Dusty really pushing the LFL first seed coming into this series as underdogs. It really does go to show what Dusty bring to a best of 5 when they have this point to prove. Sten said himself, he wants to be up in the LFL. He wants to get to the LEC through that league, give himself something to put on his resume. The rest of the team, most of this team was actually benched in spring from one team or another. They came into summer. A lot of the members coming off of different rosters, forming a new Dusty. with a new identity, and they are putting out this kind of performance on the Amazon EU Masters stage.
Yeah, they ain't Dusty anymore. They're going to have to rebrand it clean because this has been looking fantastic right now from the side of the Icelandic organization, the NLC champions. It's not over just yet, and they still have to get that Nexus to explode, but 2 items now onto your Sivir, 2 items onto LeBlanc. Kerberos is ahead of the curve in terms of Ragnar, so he's going to be able to try and keep that Sejuani's Bay as well.
And you've got 2 dragons to your name. You can start playing this game out around a soul wind condition, particularly because it is mountain. LDLC looking for something around the flank, but Dusty have the vision control.
Oh, you knew they were there. He's going to use a stopwatch right now. They get DOS. Where did he go? He disappeared as LeBlanc makes the magician's work. Kerberos is coming in off to the side.
Oh,
another fantastic hook. Sten just cannot miss. He's cheating in a fishing competition because he's finding everything.
Sten is dragging LDLC into their graves, 1 hook at a time. Dusty are wrecking this mid-game.
And Backlund does fall down here, but you've invested so much here.
It's
You
another
know what?
one.
I'm not even going to be surprised anymore. If he throws out a hook, he's going to land it.
Sten is a man on a mission. That was a golden passage of play, and Dusty are in the driver's seat. They're driving towards this finish line in Game 3.
I mean, what a turnaround. Like, just insane how all of a sudden 1 or 2 small little movements and Dusty have themselves a 6,000 gold lead. They've got the Baron, the Dragons on the map. Because they have full pressure, they're going to be able to take that as well.
Oh, and this starts from this vision control. We can see that, yike, Ragnar, they're starting to have to try and get creative because as soon as Sten enters the play, things get so difficult. Hook lands. Renata's not there for a bailout, not there for any big impact in this fight.
Oh
That
my God.
is a hook out of the top draw. Golden moment from Sten. What a ridiculous team fight.
And again, they just remove the momentum. You can talk to me about comfort, but this is momentum-based team fighting coming out here for Dusty.
Soul Point as well.
They just got themselves Soul Point. It's 22 minutes into the game. They've nearly got a 3-item Sivir. They're looking fantastic.
And I hesitated to believe this when it showed up on my timeline because then Voxnay made a tweet saying that today is the day. No way we're going to lose. Let's go, with other words thrown in there too. But they came in
some vocabulary that we cannot
say. Some vocabulary
say.
which is probably not fit for broadcast, but Dusty, they are showing us some real magic. Backlund in danger, does have himself the Magi's. Please don't face check.
Oh! That was cheeky. Backlund will fall. Shutdown goes over to Yike. Not ideal, if I'm being honest, for the side of LDLC. But look at the mid lane. They're being pushed down. This Baron can crack up on the base.
It happened again. It's on 0 stats.
Yeah, it's a curse. I don't want to see it ever
curse.
again.
But what it has done is drawn the veritable Eye of Sauron towards topside, which means that the base is broken. Dusty gets to stick as a 4-man unit, very strong everywhere else, but DOS on the flank.
There we go, Den Voxna trying to see if he can do it. There's a hook missing for the very first time. It feels like Yike goes in on the backside here, but he doesn't really have anything else to go. No flash, no ultimate. Kerberos does fall, but he's just using it to try and buy time. You still have Den Voxna very healthy. He'll have a hook up in a couple of seconds here. But Sten doesn't want to go for it just yet. They're not going to fully flip this one here. They know they have a win condition in the Dragons. They know they have control of this game. There's no need to try and flip it over an inhibitor.
Oh, and Dusty boldly going into that base, 4v5, understanding that they can still fight items onto Den Voxnay with safety added from that Thresh. And you know the biggest difference in this game? You can talk about this top lane. I want to talk about another one too. The support difference from Game 2 to Game 3 is absolutely absurd. Stos, arguably the player of the game in Game 2 with that Rakan, was banned away, his 3rd ban from Dusty heading into this one. And Sten, the man on a mission. I mean, this guy cannot overemphasize how important they have been in Game 3. And it might just see Dusty away to a second win in this series.
Match
one which
point.
I think a lot of, most people out there, myself included, pretty much everyone on broadcast included, would not have given Dusty, really giving us something to talk about.
I mean, again, we talk about it time and time again, but it was, the last hope was yesterday, where they got, that hope was ripped apart, put into the bin, and never seen ever again. This wasn't the hope for the NLC. This was the guaranteed semi-finals.
This was the push through the pain.
Yeah.
I said this in the pre-show, where, look, at the end of the day, if you're gonna win Amazon EU Masters, you gotta beat teams like LDLC. You gotta beat the pre-tournament favorites at some point. And though it is an uphill battle, you gotta do it at some point. So they're pushing through the pain, and they're doing more than just that. They're pushing into an incredibly dominant position in this game.
They're pushing through the LFL champions right now. It's That said, though, LDLC sitting themselves in a death brush. We have seen this one before, but can they get away with it? They're going to try and fully commit here on top of the Trundle, and they'll get him down. But look at this damage. Yike is just not going to be able to stand up to the absolute craziness that is Denvox and Sivir right now. I love the fact that he's in the Cataclysm because it led to him basically not dying. He couldn't get anything there. And Ike is dead. Nothing for the bailout to bring him back into, so that's 2 for 1. And honestly, LDLC, they didn't have any other choice. They had to go for a play.
They had to, and then suddenly, LDLC playing tricky, playing around these opportunistic picks, but they don't have the follow-up to deal with it afterwards, and particularly when that Sivir ult is popped, you are not escaping those fights easily. They lose someone in return, and honestly, that's one of the better case scenarios. If Sivir gets to run through that team fight with Yike not ulting them, and Sivir gets to continually put out auto attack, that goes from bad to worse in the blink of an eye.
I mean, look at the carry difference right now. You're looking at 3 items for the Sivir. As we can see, Kerberos, you're sitting on a ward. Shouldn't go down, but shall be delayed on his reset. Still fine, though. Just over a minute until the next Dragon spawn. That's Soul for Dusty. And here we're looking at it and kind of saying, look, what's going to happen? Where do you try and come onto this LDLC? They got to make more plays like that because that's the best shot they've got.
And like we said, this is actually one of the better case scenarios. You get the first pick, you don't get the Trundle off even, right? So you don't have your first target shredded of resistances. You don't have the Trundle being that much harder to take down. And you also lock up the Sivir from following up through that fight. And even with that, you haven't accounted for backland to the backside of it. You haven't got that vision over the wall. I could take the
ricochet.
One step forward and wait for that ricochet. Ica hits the ground.
And again, like you said, as much as the combination of the Cataclysm to lock in the Sivir is great, it actually protects the Sivir from everyone else around her. Because even if you get the hostile taker coming over, if they're not in the Cataclysm with her, they're not going to be able to hit her. So it's actually a really nice little thing because there's so much melee on the side of Dusty outside of the Sivir. So a little small thing I just noticed there because Kerberos got hit. And I was like, oh no, he's going to start hitting his young lady carry. And he couldn't. He was just sitting there looking at the Cataclysm going, damn.
But the worst possible thing is like you have like a W active and then empowered auto attacks tend to have a little bit extra range for them. It's like, oh no. That's going to be a big old smack on the top of the head. And even with that,
they're giving it up.
This is going to be Mountain Soul to Dusty. I'm trying to hold off and say that Dusty, they've definitely won this game. Because again, you are against a team which is so clutch, so good at playing out these team fights if you give them those advantages. But Dusty, with such a large gold lead at this point, with items completed, with that soul point going down, they have themselves very strong advantage in this third game.
Ica just find a charm, but again, look at the Mountain Soul just doing work. Ica's going to have to use the Spirit Rush over the back, and like I said, as much as you don't want to say this is Dusty's game, it is their game to lose. That's where we are in this game right now. Resetting of expectations right now because LDLC are firmly on the back foot. And I like where they're trying to go with this because that Baron Rush, as much as it's not going to go for it, it's not going to work. They need to do something. And Charm lands. It's going to try and fully commit now onto backland. And they should be able to take him out. That's going to be 1 kill, but you've lost. Yike, you're going to lose a little bit more now off of this because you can see Ragnar trying to run away. Quick little piggy, run back to your house because the big bad wolf is coming for you. Double kill for Denvox, and they're pushing back towards the big purple worm.
LDLC maybe came into the day thinking that they were going into the hen house. Turns out it's a house of wolves, Dusty inhabiting it. And in this fight, they don't have the ability to disengage. When they commit, they're going in, and Yike finds that out the hard way for not the first time this game. Dusty, another Baron to their name, and Soul already racked up on their backs, and they are continuing to push this game further in their advantage. It starts off with an unfortunate pick. You don't have vision control. CC goes onto that first target. You don't have the same ability of something like a bailout or a hostile takeover to buy you space to save your carries, but you don't need it at that point. At that point, Dusty have got enemies right in front of them that dove way too far trying to secure themselves the victory, and they take away the kills.
I mean, Exakick wasn't even there. That was a 4v5 at best for LDLC because Exakick had to return to deal with the mid lane. So it's a small window that they tried to work for them. And I don't blame LDLC for this. Some people might look at this and go, oh, why would you go for that? You have to go for that. You don't really have any other options. Yeah. Yike can't stand on his own 2 feet. If he goes in, he's dying.
And that's a completely correct thing to bring up, because if we're going to talk about Dusty in that last game, looking for the higher variance, but also higher risk plays, the Hail Marys, you've got to praise LDLC for it too. They are looking for those picks over the wall between various bits of CC, but in both cases, the teams with the advantage have started to roll away with it, and in this particular case, Dusty are the ones which are looking to come out away with match point from this one. They have the rest of this Baron buff to come out, 3.5 minutes until the Elder spawns, a little while until they have to put that into the equation of resetting towards it. Dusty Where's your killer blow? Where's the hammer blow swinging towards?
I mean, yes, you do have 3 items onto your Felios, but they're not traditional 3 items. He's going to try and get the Moonlight Vigil to come out. Charm doesn't do anything. Berserk puts him in a house.
And that's the Lantern out of the
and
Cataclysm.
That's the Lantern out of the Cataclysm. So you just exactly what we talked about. The Thresh coming out trumps and Sten.
Oh,
Just cannot miss. That's going to be game number 3 going over to Dusty. They'll take themselves to match point over LDLC.
And there's your killer blow. It's not just a killer blow, it's a death sentence. It's stand on the Thresh, and they're sending it towards match point for Dusty.
You'll get all the summoners out here from LDLC. They know they messed up a little bit, and that's going to be match point for Dusty. A position, a line I never thought I was going to say today, but here we are. And this is why I love best of 5s.
I love best of 5.